or a couple pieces of weather stripping that are broken or something like that. But that's just to upgrade it as we find individual windows that need a little bit of work.
Are you talking about the double hungs?
Yes,
that are
the
in
big
all
double
classrooms,
hungs.
The
We would
multi-pane double hungs?
Yeah, little bit of work to upgrade the windows
Okay.
themselves. It really puts on the outside.
An outside storm.
Yep.
I think you and I talked about it, and it might be good for the group. Would they be operable? So
I
that
would
they
love
might-
to see them operable.
They might be able to come out as an awning, so
Right.
that you could then open the double hung and let some air circulate.
Right,
and
open the
decent
double hung
weather.
this much, you could reach out and push open that storm window and have it open just a little bit to get some air
As
circulation
an
in
awning,
there.
and then you
Right.
lift the
Right,
existing double hung, and in the winter you pull it in and lock it.
yep,
Okay.
exactly.
I just thought,
You don't have to take
it's
those
nice to
out.
have fresh air when you can have
And
fresh
I've
air.
talked to some companies that are making this. The one fellow, he's in Iowa, but he was ready to
Yep.
build one and ship it out here so you could put it in. I think we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Will you, just for the notes, describe those storm windows again? Did you say they were double paned or single?
They're double pane. I mean, it's
That's what I
a
wrote
concept that's not out there and it's not common, but it's one of those things you just think, gosh, why hasn't anybody done this before? There's lots of people that make single pane wood storm windows that you put on the outside of a historic structure. But let's go ahead and put a piece of insulated glass in there. It makes them heavier. You're not going to want to take them out every fall. That's why it's best to make them so that they pivot somewhere. But
And John, when you said some of the interior windows, like above some of the doors into the classrooms, I know they were like boarded up, and
Mhm.
some of the higher, looks like they were boarded up. Is that
yeah, we've got some money in
included?
there to uncover those. Or we've got a new ramp that's going along the back by what's going to be the foods lab and the younger grade science classroom, but that butts up against the upper wall of the gymnasium. So I don't see any reason why we couldn't poke a couple panes of glass that are maybe no bigger than the glass in one of those doors in there, so that as you walk along that ramp or that corridor, you can actually see the activity of what's happening in the school. You might even get some sense of whether it's daylight or not, because you're going to have windows or daylight coming in the back of those classrooms. They're going to filter through. It's not going to be bright light, but at least some idea of whether the
Yeah.
sun's gone down yet or not. So it just helps connect the school and to be able to see the activity in the building too, some of those interior windows. And they're pretty inexpensive, and they serve a lot of good. I don't want to get into this too much. We've got a mix of stud and drywall partitions, and downstairs in the locker rooms, we're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to put in some concrete block because it's durable and takes the beating that happens in locker rooms, and not to mention the potentially moist conditions that are down there. So.
And just a quick, when we were talking about the historic windows, how would we wash those interior double hungs if we now have a non-moving exterior with just an awning to open for fresh air? Because fresh air is lovely, but once you can't see the wind through the window anymore,
Right.
not so lovely.
Well, hopefully you could operate at least the bottom portion of that storm window and wash the
That's
outside
just
of
gonna
that
be
from
an
there.
important thing
It is going to
think
be an
about.
important thing. Yep. Yep.
That's true.
It is true. These aren't kind of your Marvin tilt.
No, I think if you
tilt-ins.
choose a hardware for the bottom,
Yeah.
you would choose something that could be disconnected from the window
Right.
where it pushes out,
Right.
so that you could actually hinge the thing all the way up.
Don't forget, those windows are going to get a lot less dirty too when they're covered by that sealed stone.
Yeah.
So, especially the ones at the top where
But you
That's
just
a
have- you
consideration.
just need to
it is.
Consideration.
It's obviously it is one of those things. that we're
Consideration,
gonna
we'd
want.
have to, before
I'm
you
guessing
choose
it's not that
name.
easy to wash those windows now.
Well, that's true, but we don't want to install.
Let's make it
something that
more
makes that
difficult, right?
possible.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's true.
Let's see, a couple other things here. We're at, oh yeah, here we go. Here's another thing that I did. This is always an amazing expense on one of these projects. Cabinetry. It adds up really fast, and it's really hard to kind of draw the line of which stuff are you going to keep and which stuff are you going to get rid of. What I did is very quickly went through the plan. You'll see on this piece that I'm taking around. There it is. I divided this into each floor, some of the functions in there. The columns, you can see it says base, top, wardrobe / cubby, or open shelving. And those are different kind of price levels of the types of cabinetry. So if you have a base cabinet that has some doors in it, or maybe a few drawers, it has, you know, and it's got a countertop that goes with it. The top cabinets are going to be what you'd see up above on the wall, or a wall cabinet, usually with some doors. Wardrobe cubby, again, we don't know exactly what that is, but we're trying to make sure that we've got provisions in all these classrooms to hang coats and put backpacks and whatnot, and that's going to be in a lot of the spaces. Open shelving tends to be just kind of standards and brackets and whatnot that goes in storage closets. But it adds up quickly, and I just tried to put in some linear footage of each of those types in each of these rooms, just to get some sense of what we're talking about. There's really no design, there's hardly even any floor plans that go with this, other than what I could imagine quickly as I went through the plan. But as you get to the bottom of that sheet, you can see that, you know, it adds up. You know, the base cabinets come to, right here, 682 linear feet. And at $245 a linear foot, it comes out to a lot of money. And the same with the top cabinets and the wardrobes and the open shelving as well. And you know, and again, then we plug that number into the estimate, just to show that we're trying to figure out what this costs. This is obviously a huge component of the overall cost of the project. It's also one of the easiest ones to say, all right, we don't need that much, let's cut that back. The columns on the other end, on the right-hand side, I also went through and said, okay, which rooms need a new marker board, which one wants some tack board so you can pin things on it. And finally, it says smart board there. This would probably be the built project that with the fewest marker boards I've ever done, school project, simply because smart boards exist. And why would you put in a marker board when you're making this kind of a capital improvement on a project and not put a smart board in? That is the newest technology. It's what you really need to do. And the schools, frankly, can get some amazing deals on this stuff. It's amazing. So I went and said, look, I think there's a lot of rooms here that could benefit from that smart board technology, and I put that in here. You guys need to take a good, hard look at that. If you think that's too many, we can cut that down. If you think we don't have enough, well, we can make it bigger.
We also have some existing.
And you have some existing ones. I'm not sure how many of those there were. It's one thing I didn't get a chance to do is go through here and look at that stuff. So that's another piece that I've looked at here. So let's see, how do I want to do this? There we go. The other divisions here, you know, I put some window blinds in. If you like your old vinyl yellow blinds, we can keep those. If you want some white newer ones, we can put those in. I've actually said they've got some great products out there now that are a mesh that you actually can close. There's a little bit of light that still comes through. And you can actually see what you're doing when the computers are on.
But privacy. Yep.
But private, yes. So anyway, look through all of this. This is great. Divisions 15 is mechanical. Division 16 is electrical. We've talked about those in the last couple of weeks. The last piece along this portion of the agenda, I'm going to pass this around, and that's on this board right here called the flooring plans. This was one of the things we realized is that you've got some flooring in this building that's relatively new. You've gone through and you've put the vinyl composite tiles in all the hallways, for example. That's not in horrible shape. There's a number of classrooms that have it already. You've got a gym floor down there. We don't need to put all new flooring in every bit of this building. So I did a real quick survey. When you're looking at this plan, the stuff with the hatches in it are places where I'm saying let's leave the flooring that's in place. The color tells you what the flooring is. So when you've got the green, that's the vinyl tile. If it's hatched, it means it's existing stuff. If it's not, it means we're going to put some new in. And that's what this estimate was based on. Blue is where there would be carpet, band rooms, offices. You know, this red is the existing terrazzo. I don't think we want to get rid of that. You know, there's some epoxy flooring down in the boys' locker room there. I think we can probably keep some of that because it's still going to be locker rooms. Plus, it's easier to keep that stuff than to peel it up. I'm not sure how you get that off the concrete slab. So I think that this will be useful to you as you go through and try to see. Sherry, I can see that there'll be people who have questions too. What kind of flooring is going to be on in my room? So this is a chance to let me know if any of those things aren't what you want. And you know, this is a good spot for me to say that this process is incredibly flexible. Just because tonight you don't say something about that doesn't mean that in the future you can't have a better idea. It just means that if it costs more money later, we got to find some place to cut money out somewhere else.
John, real quick, these floor plans that show the different flooring, that's the existing floor plan layout? That's not your new revised?
No, that is the new revised.
This is
plan.
the new revised
That is
with
the new
your
revised.
loop corridors and so
Yep.
forth? Okay.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Yep.
So, and again, by the fact you see how much of this is hatched, you can see that there's a good bit of those existing floor plans that are staying in place. I mean, as soon as you start ripping up all the walls, you're going to have to replace the flooring too. You're not going to take all the walls out and keep the flooring in place, or patch in, you know, a 6-inch wide piece of flooring where the wall used to be. So, I mean, we've been trying that from the beginning, is to try to make this a well-zoned, functioning middle school, yet not tear every single wall on this building out and replace it. So, and
Just a quick comment, I know, Rick, maybe you know, they are putting tile in the health office.
Where?
In the health
Nursing office?
nursing office.
Well, as it exists now, there's carpeting in there.
Right, and there was discussion, they have purchased some tile to
Well,
replace the
it's
carpet.
discussion as to having it tiled within the next year, because
I see.
it's not very sanitary to have carpeting in there.
okay. There is carpeting available now that would be much more sanitary. It's kind of almost like a pseudo walk-off mat. That would, thank you.
It's not terribly cold.
It's all right, but I bet it's terribly wet. So, yeah, again, the difference in cost between that tile product and the carpet is actually going to save you money. But, gosh, I'd love to be having a conversation. What's the best flooring for the nurse's office? We're quite a ways from that, so.
Right, it's just, you
Yeah.
know, whether there was gonna be renovation or not.
Exactly,
So-
and you're gonna end up renovating some things now that you can't wait on everything to see if
Right.
you're going to be doing this project or not. So, I have not encouraged you to not do anything yet. The last, oh, actually, I gotta find my agenda here. Put it aside, I fear. Here it is. The phasing plan. This is the last piece that I want to put out there in terms of defining the scope of the work. I had a number of meetings. One with Sherry at one point to talk about what would work best from her point of view. I talked with my cost estimator about what he thought would work best from making this absolutely the cheapest, which of course doesn't mesh with trying necessarily with trying to. Oh no, this is the composite. From the cost estimator standpoint was, you know, what would be the least expensive in phasing to build it, but had nothing to do with whether you were using the building or not. I then came down, and John was incredibly helpful, lending his expertise. And he met with myself and the mechanical engineer, because the mechanical pieces are such a huge component of this project in terms of phasing it. And we came up with this, which is somewhere in between. I'm not sure that Sherry's totally satisfied with it
That's
yet.
the one that you had emailed me in writing, not in the.
Yeah,